Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles, and we have two battle replays for you today, although the first one is only the first few minutes of a battle, and I've included it for one main purpose. All those times you've been playing World of Tanks, the battle starts, and after a few minutes, there are still half a dozen or more of your team, all clustered in one corner of the map, having barely moved from the spawn. Now, in all fairness, I have to admit that your initial reaction, oh my god, look at those arseholes, what the hell are they doing? Will you guys please move and get into the game? Is probably going to be justified. 90% of the time, what's probably happened is they've all just discovered a really big pot of glue, no more than 100 meters from their spawn, and they've all gathered around for a really good sniff. But not all the time. Although technically you could claim, since we're talking about Japanese super heavy tanks in this particular battle, that they have in fact found a big pot of glue and they're all gathering around for a really good sniff, but sometimes they're doing it for a good reason. And just because you can't actually see what they're doing and all you can see is their location on the minimap, it doesn't mean that they're actually being useless. Although most of the time, yeah, they probably are. But not all the time. Anyway, this is Gladimus, and he is in the Tier 7 Japanese Super Heavy tank, the Oni. And there's a Tier 8 Japanese Super Heavy tank over there, the Oho, who I can only guess that he got a little dizzy after sniffing a little too vigorously at his onboard glue supplies, and he's actually managed to fall over. Yeah, already. How? I mean, how do you even do that? You see, Japanese super heavy tank drivers, they're all glue sniffers. It's the only thing that explains their behaviour. Now, while Gladimus... I'm sorry. Look at this buffoon. Okay, right. I'm good now. It's all under control. Okay, Gladimus doing his level best to right this Oho, assisted by a Progetto and a 45 TP, but it's probably going to take a little bit. I mean, that's a seriously heavy tank. That's the Japanese Tier 8. And they are, of course, taking fire from a 45 TP. Enemy artillery, who must be looking at this and just thinking, so many targets, so little ammunition. And a Centurion Mark 7, and yep, there's the artillery. And all the time they're doing this, of course, they're being raged at in chat by the rest of their team, calling them a bunch of wankers and worse. But they have at least managed to right the Oho. The question you have to ask yourself now, of course, is, was it worth it for good guy Gladimus here, because it did cost him more than half of his health? And that's a question that we can only really answer when we take a look at the post-battle results screen to just see how much the Oho driver was able to take advantage of the favour that his team did for him at the beginning of the match. Well, despite being a Tier 7 tank in a Tier 9 battle, and starting the game with pretty much more than half of his health gone, Gladimus did go on to do over 1,000 damage, and finish 4th on the team on experience earned. The Oho? Well, Gladimus, you're a good guy, there's no doubt about that, but I can't help but think you probably shouldn't have bothered. Moving on to today's main event. This is SirFoch, and he probably needs no introduction. Some say that SirFoch is so salty that I could sink a mineshaft into him and generate enough salt that I'd be able to shut the actual salt mines down for an entire year. For those few of you who have not actually heard of him, aside from his immense saltiness, what he should be known for is the fact that he is probably Latvia's best World of Tanks player, one of the best World of Tanks players in Europe. Unfortunately, he's forever going to be known as the man at the heart of the Fochgate incident, which was a public relations disaster for wargaming that occurred sometime last year. The short version of the Fochgate incident is that SirFoch published a review on YouTube, in his own inimicable style, of yet another overpowered premium Tier 8 heavy tank. Wargaming Europe decided that they didn't like his tone or the language used in the video, threatened him with a copyright strike if he didn't take it down, and kicked him out of the community contributor program. The internet rose up in revolt. Wargaming Europe managed to calm the situation down, and then the very next day, for no good reason that anybody has yet been able to explain, Wargaming North America, who at that point had absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with the entire situation, decided that what was needed for everybody was a press release basically stating that SirFoch got what he deserved because he hated Jews and gays. And that one came from so far out of left field. To this very day, nobody still has the faintest idea what the hell Wargaming North America were talking about, or what possessed them to make the press release in the first place. Unfortunately, that is still pretty much what SirFoch is best known for, which is really a shame, because he is an exceptionally good, if epically salty, World of Tanks player. But the saltiness is all part of his charm, and it's why his audience love him. But it's his World of Tanks skills that really, well, just watch this. The tank that he's driving in this battle, by the way, in case you're not completely familiar with it, because it's not a relatively common tank, is the second of the Chinese Tier 10 heavies, the WZ-111-5 Alpha. And as you can see, it's pretty quick for a heavy tank. The acceleration isn't great, but the top speed of 50 km per hour is right up there with the IS-7. The armour's not bad. It's got a pre-angled pike nose like the IS-3 on the upper glacis, and the turret is very tough, although the turret top is kind of weak. And it's also a very low profile tank, so you really don't want to be face-hugging other heavies, particularly taller heavies, because they'll just be able to blast shots right down into your turret roof and penetrate easily. The gun isn't bad, but it's nowhere near as good as he's making it appear to be. I mean, the shots that he's pulling off up here, shooting at and hitting the lower glacis of that Object 705 at a range of over 350 meters. You shouldn't expect to be doing shots like that regularly in the Model 5A. Its base accuracy is only 0.39, which is pretty terrible. However, with a well-trained crew, improved ventilation, and premium consumables, you can get the accuracy down to as low as 0.35, which is perfectly acceptable. It's worth pointing out, by the way, that SirFoch is not using premium consumables here. So he actually probably has something like 0.36 or 0.37 accuracy, which, look at these snapshots that he's pulling off. RNGesus giveth, and RNGesus taketh away, and RNGesus certainly appears to be given more than taking at the moment. And again, he's in a very strong position here, of course. He's got those rocks protecting his lower glacis. He's actually angled backwards, which is making his upper glacis pretty much an auto bounce zone. And the turret front of this tank is very, very tough. And he clearly knows both the limitations of this machine and this map very, very well indeed, because this machine only has 7 degrees of gun depression. And knowing exactly which parts of the terrain you can get shots over and which ones you can't, and yeah, there was no way he was going to take a shot at the turret front of a hull down IS-7 there. Not even with premium ammunition, which he isn't using yet. I mean, he's got a small stock of high explosive anti-tank, but the regular armour piercing ammunition on this machine has 250mm of penetration, perfectly adequate, providing you just know where to shoot. And here comes the IS-7, who appears to have suddenly taken his brave pills. Either that or he's suddenly taken leave of his senses, because Foch just couldn't hurt him in the position that he was in. And now, well, he can. And at the rate that Foch's team are throwing the match, Foch desperately needed to kill that IS-7 in order to be able to break out and go and kill more enemy tanks. And, well, the IS-7 really didn't make it hard for him, did he? So thanks for that. Of course, he's not completely scot-free. There is still the small matter of the P-44 Pantera around the corner. Now, he's obviously spotted, he's so close to him, and unfortunately this is where the gun depression kind of lets him down a little, so he kind of whiffled that shot and then realises that, actually I need to angle my armour here against the threat from the front. His tracks eat a shot from the T-95. His second shot at the Pantera does kill him, but in order to get the gun down far enough to ensure the kill, he had to expose enough of the side that the Pantera was actually able to get a shot into him, so he could have done without that. But oh look, there's the T-95, and yep, he is actually, from this angle, shooting it at the Doom Turtle's arse. Now, things may appear to be going deceptively well at this point, but if you take a look at the scores, you will realise that his team are still throwing as hard as they possibly can, and there are only 4 of them left alive. Outnumbered as heavily as this, you have to expect the enemy team, anxious for kills, to be closing in from all directions, although his team have rallied briefly and managed to pull 2 kills back. But there's an E50 around the corner, and oh, hang on a second, that's a much, much better target. The Scorpion G. T26 with him doesn't have a huge amount of health left either. Foch still has most of his. E50's whiffed his shot. Close in. Lot of glacis, thank you. He's now a one-shot kill. Scorpion G is looking for a target. They've managed to knock out the T26. Only 3 members of the team left alive against 6 enemies. Bounced another shot from the E50. Scorpion G is no longer a target. Let's see if he can turret front. Yep, he's taken out the E50. Meanwhile, the 110 on the team appears to be in the process of losing a fight against an 81 health Lerva. And the Scorpion G is probably looking for a shot at the 110. So Foch kills him. There's his top gun. Spotted, of course, but the sand dunes on his right should shield him from everybody on the enemy team other than the Lerva, who's waiting for the killing shot against the 110. Doesn't get it, and suddenly Foch is on 7 kills, and it's 3 tanks each. The problem now is they have no idea where the 3 remaining enemy tanks are. They have the shipbarn, the FE 4005, and that could be a problem. They have a TVP, which probably isn't going to be too much of a problem, but they also have a bat chat, and that bat chat could be a serious problem, because there's a lot of open ground to cover here. And oh, there's the shipbarn, and he stops. He clearly knows he's been spotted, although Foch has not been detected. Foch wants to know where the bat chat is, and he's actually stopping now to ask his team in chat, does anybody know where that bat chat is? And the team, ever helpful, are going to come up with all kinds of possible locations as to where the bat chat could be right now. One of them is pinging the map down here, another one's pinging the map all the way over there. So yeah, nobody has a clue where the bat chat is. And that bat chat, assuming he's fully loaded, and you have to assume he's fully loaded, is capable of doing just under 2,000 damage. And Foch can't afford to take that kind of damage, which is why he really wants to know where that guy is. Oh, spotted. Oh, shipbarn looking right at him. No, actually the shipbarn was looking right at the 110, and he's killed him. Foch didn't have a huge amount of time to aim there. Shot from the bat chat just zipped over him. Bounced a shot from the bat chat, fires at the bat chat in return. Probably wasn't expecting to actually hit him, but there was nothing else he could do at the time. And hey, you never know your luck. And if nothing else, it may at least serve to keep the bat chat's head down. But they've lost the 110, so it's 2 against 3, and Foch was spotted. The bat chat going after the Foch 155, knowing that he can kill him with the 3 shots that he has remaining, and there's nothing Foch can do about it. He is now the last tank left alive on his team, and he's spotted. And it's the shitbomb, who, for some reason, does not fire. I know that thing has a pretty bad aiming time, but well, so does the Model 5A here, and Foch didn't wait for it to aim, and the shitbomb probably shouldn't have either. Bad news, Foch got spotted again. Even worse news, he's now alone against the bat chat and the TVP, and, well, the TVP isn't much of a threat, although it would be nice to know where he is. The bat chat, probably reloading. He wasted 2 shots against Foch without doing any damage. There he is. And it probably took him, well, it definitely took him at least 1 shot to kill the Foch 155. And with 2 shots remaining, that's not enough ammunition to kill SirFoch's WZ-111 5A, so he's probably running and reloading, which means Foch does not have an awful lot of time in which to catch him. And while this is a reasonably quick heavy tank, it's nowhere near as quick as a bat chat. Now, I don't know this for sure, because I can't see what's been going on in the enemy team's chat, but have you noticed that as Foch is pursuing the bat chat away from the cap circle, that's the precise moment when the TVP VTU starts capping? I suspect there was a rare example of some teamwork and communication going on here, probably as a result of the bat chat player advising the TVP when exactly he should go into the cap circle. Because let's face it, at this point, the TVP VTU is really only good for capping. Now, it is encounter, so Foch does have a fair amount of time to do something about the cap. But the bat chat player knows that just as much as Foch does. And so Foch, you can, well, quite clearly see that he's expecting the bat chat to be fighting a delaying action. He's using the sand dunes, and yep, there's the bat chat, and yep, that's exactly what he's doing. Foch, by the way, has now run out of regular armor-piercing ammunition. Pretty much everything that's been fired at him for the last 10 minutes has been premium ammunition, but it's only now that Foch is firing his heat, and he's only doing it because, well, he's got nothing else other than high explosive. And he does not have a huge amount of ammunition, and that Batchat is doing a very, very good job of slowing him down and keeping him away from the cap circle. Now, it's interesting watching these two, because you can see that neither of them wants to give the other the opportunity to get a solid shot off. Foch is using the dunes, the Batchat is using the ridge and the wrecks of the enemy tanks over there. But if Foch has been counting the Batchat shots, and I'm pretty sure he has, he'll know that that was the Batchat's 4th shot, and it only has 5 shots. And yeah, the Batchat's on the run again, which means he's almost certainly reloading. Naturally, Foch is going to want to pursue him, and naturally, the Batchat does not want to be pursued. He wants to get away and reload and set up another ambush. And it takes the Batchat, again depending on crew skills and equipment fits and premium consumables, under 40 seconds to reload. Which means Foch doesn't have a huge amount of time to do something about that TVP in the cap circle. Of course, he's going to want to kill the Batchat first, if at all possible, because the TVP isn't much of a threat to him by the time he gets to the cap circle. The Batchat is probably going to have reloaded, and remember, the Batchat can do an average of 1,950 damage with a full magazine, and Foch doesn't have that amount of health to spare. He also doesn't have a huge amount of time to spare, but he just needs to get into the cap circle to stop the capture progress. And there's the Batchat, and he's hit him. The Batchat fires, but because he's firing heat, which detonates on impact, it hit the tree in front of him and detonated harmlessly, doing no damage. Foch drives into the cap circle, kills the Batchat before he can fire off a second shot, and now he just has to deal with the TVP. Of course, Foch is down to high explosive ammunition, so he has to place this shot carefully, but, well, there's good, and then there's SirFoch. And the outcome of that one, once he'd killed the Batchat, was really never in any doubt. So, unsurprisingly, that's an ace tanker for SirFoch in the WZ-111 Model 5 Alpha to go with his Top Gun, High Caliber, Steel Wall, Defender and Pools medal for the 10 kills. But it's the amount of damage they did in that game that's nothing short of astounding. 10,500 damage done. He even blocked 4,000 damage with his armour for a combined total of damage done and received of nearly 15,000. Frankly, at this point, I think he's just showing off. Commiserations, of course, to the Batchat driver on the enemy team, who played an excellent game, doing nearly 4,000 damage of his own to go with his 6 kills and his own Top Gun. He just had the great misfortune to have SirFoch on the other team. So, if you like what you saw, and you want to see some more, except with some added live salt, link down below to SirFoch's Twitch channel. He also has a YouTube channel, which is what got him into trouble with wargaming in the first place last year, where he also puts up his own World of Tanks video content. Hope you enjoyed today's video. SirFoch, keep doing what you do, and everybody else, stay salty.